Professor Palace here with the weekly wrap up for week 11 for NTD 420 spring semester 2020. This week, our class survey looked at what you thought was the primary reason to incorporate physical activity into a weight management program. Physical activity is typically associated with healthier blood lipid profiles, lower blood pressure, and better glucose control. For this class, 4% of you felt that mostly moderate intensity aerobic activity to consistently burn fat is appropriate for your clients. 96% of you felt that a combination of activities based on intensity, being high, moderate, and interval training, to burn fat, as well as at least one day of low intensity activity designed to reduce stress and also help reduce levels of cortisol would be recommended for your clients. These surveys are opinion-based, but I would tend to agree with the 96% of the class that thought that the best approach was a combination of activities based on intensity, as well as at least one day of low intensity activity. We do know that stress promotes cortisol, and in the presence of cortisol, the body can be prompted to take uncommitted stem cells and convert them into fat cells. So, what's an activity that's designed to reduce stress? This could be a meditation class, it could be a low intensity yoga class, such as yin yoga, but you have to be careful with yoga because some yoga is stressful and really physically active. So, make sure you know what type of yoga a client is doing if they're going to select yoga as their activity to reduce stress and reduce their levels of cortisol. Remember that for this class, your due dates are Sunday nights at 11:59 p.m. Those are your due dates for all assignments and for quizzes. When we have discussion boards, the initial post is due Wednesday night by 11:59 p.m., and then your two peer responses are due Sunday night at 11:59 p.m. In class this week, we looked specifically at the role of physical activity and how this could be beneficial, hopefully, to someone who is struggling to manage their weight or someone who is suffering from obesity. The bottom line with physical activity is that physical activity promotes good health. Active people, regardless of what their weight status is, are proving to have better lipid levels, better blood pressure levels, and better blood glucose control. So, physical activity promotes good health. Recognize that there is a difference between physical activity and exercise. Exercise is planned, it's structured, it's repetitive, and it has a purpose in the sense that you're doing the activity with the goal of maintenance or improving your level of physical fitness. Physical activity itself is just health enhancing bodily movement or movement for the sake of joy. Both are beneficial. Exercise is more planned, more structured, and typically more repetitive. Appreciating the difference for physical activity and for exercise, we want to remember that what we learned in this class is that both physical activity and exercise both promote good health. They both increase muscular strength and endurance. They both can increase muscle mass, increase bone density, improved flexibility, and reduce abdominal fat. Physical activity and exercise are known to improve people's level of glucose tolerance. This is very important if you're counseling people who have or who are at risk for type 2 diabetes. Physical activity and exercise are associated with improved mental health and longer life. So, when you're working on a program for a client, if they're resistant to exercise and resistant to the term exercise, remember that there's still physical activity out there, and there may be some form of joyful movement that you can program into their intervention that gets them active and moving and could ultimately give them some of these benefits. What's next? We'll stay up to date as always with the readings, watching the videos. Please complete the weekly survey that is part of your participation in this class. We do have a quiz next week, week 13, and your group projects are due on May 5th. That's a hard due date. I realize there's a lot going on right now, but we do want to wrap up the semester in a timely fashion. So please communicate with your groups and work on that project to make sure that you have it done and are prepared to turn it in on time. In regards to your popular diets assignment that you turned in last week, I am still grading those. You have done an excellent job writing those papers and researching some diets that are simply fascinating. So, thank you so much for the time that you invested in writing those papers. I hope that you enjoyed writing them as well. I will be releasing a short video later this week that sums up that assignment. I always think it's interesting for the class to see what everyone else uncovered and what we learned when we look at it in whole as a class. Thank you so much for your time. I do have office hours on Mondays in the afternoon, available via Zoom. So if you have any questions, you can log on then. Or if you'd like to set up a particular Zoom for yourself or for your group, just reach out and I'm happy to do that for you. Thanks again for your time. Have a great week.